Don't ruin my baby shower.
I would never dream of it, dear.
My daughter-in-law, Bianca, had a way of looking at me that made me feel like I was something she needed to carefully manage. Like a fragile vase she didn't want to display but also didn't dare throw away. Why? She was the type of woman who planned her life with precision. Color-coded calendars, curated social circles, outfits steamed and arranged the night before. Everything about her was polished, intentional, and meticulously styled for the image she wanted the world to believe. I, on the other hand, preferred simple things. Clothes that fit comfortably, shoes that didn't pinch, conversations that didn't require pretending. And though my son adored me, he was often caught in the awkward position of trying to blend the world he married into with the world he came from. Bianca tolerated me, but oh no. Why just? On the morning of her baby shower, she texted asking me to arrive early. Can you come to the venue at 11 a.m. sharp? Need to go over something. The wording alone pressed a small weight into my chest. Need to go over something. Not can you help me? Not want to see the setup? Just a meeting. When I arrived at the event hall, she was already there, wearing a pastel dress that looked like it stepped out of a maternity magazine. Her hair was curled, her makeup flawless, her nails freshly done. She looked beautiful, glowing even, but her expression tightened the moment she saw me. She walked toward me with a smile that never touched her eyes. Hi, you made it. Her tone suggested she was surprised I arrived on time. I held up the small gift bag I'd brought. Inside was a hand-knitted cream blanket, the softest one I'd ever made. I started knitting it the moment I found out she was pregnant. She cut me off with a quick glance at the bag. Oi, we'll put that with the others later. Just follow me for a minute. She led me to a corner away from the decorators and the photographers assembling their equipment. Then she turned to face me with her arms crossed and her chin slightly raised. I wanted to talk before the guests arrive. Something about the way she said it told me this wasn't a friendle. Why chat? I stood quietly, letting her speak. She took a breath. The kind of breath people take before delivering instructions they think you might fight against. I need today to go smoothly, she began. These are important people coming. Influential. My boss will be here, some of my husband's colleagues, a few of my mother's charity partners. It's a big deal. I nodded slowly, unsure where she was going with this. She continued, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page about expectations. A small knot formed in my stomach. Expectations. I repeated. Yes. She pressed her lips together. Like, maybe try not to tell too many personal stories. Keep things light. Don't draw attention to yourself. And, she hesitated for a moment then added, try not to wander around too much. Just sit and enjoy the program. Wander around? Like I was a toddler in a store? I felt my face warm but I kept my voice calm. I didn't plan to make a spectacle, Bianca. I know, she said quickly, waving a hand. I'm just trying to avoid awkwardness. You know how things can get. I didn't know. But she clearly had an image of me I'd never agreed to. Then she looked me up and down, not rudely but not kindly either. Her gaze lingered on my dress, soft lavender, clean but old, a little faded at the hem. She smiled apologetically. I should have helped you pick an outfit. The photographers will be everywhere today and, well, neutral colors photograph better. It's fine though. I guess we can put you near the back. The back. Like a chair they didn't want in the official photos. For a moment, a memory flickered in my mind. Standing on a stage 20 years ago speaking to a group of young women fighting for scholarships. Teaching them to use their voices. Telling them their presence mattered. Funny how life circles back to test your own lessons. I swallowed the tight feeling in my throat. I will behave, I said quietly. She exhaled with visible relief, as if she had just secured the last missing piece of her perfect day. Great. Thank you, she said, patting my arm, the way someone pats a dog that finally sits. Just stay calm, okay? No need to bring any guests either. I'm sure your friends are wonderful, but the seating is already tight. Hi, friends. I repeated softly. Yes. I don't want any confusion. Let's just keep it small. Small. She had no idea. I simply nodded again. Bianca smiled, satisfied. Perfect. Now let me check on the caterers. And with that she walked away, her heels clicking confidently across the floor, already shifting back into the role of the polished hostess. I stood there alone, holding the gift bag, the softness of the blanket hidden inside. For the first time that morning, a quiet truth settled into my bones. She wasn't worried I would ruin the baby shower. She was worried that I would ruin her image. She didn't know me. Not really. Not the years I'd spent supporting young women, mentoring leaders, guiding people who would go on to achieve things I never took credit for. She didn't know the people whose lives I'd touched. She didn't know who might come. if I ever needed them. But she was about to learn. And so was everyone else in that room. The event hall slowly transformed from a quiet space into a shimmering stage of curated elegance. Every corner smelled of fresh roses and expensive perfume. Soft instrumental music floated through the air, blending with the sounds of final preparations. Clattering trays, hushed voices, the whirring of a balloon pump. It was the kind of decor meant to impress people who were already impressed with themselves. Gold-accented tables. Flawless white tablecloths. Tall glass vases filled with cream peonies. A photo backdrop printed with Bianca's baby bliss in looping rose gold letters. I stood near the side, feeling strangely out of place in my lavender dress, watching as the photographers tested their lights. Bright white flashes reflected off every polished surface. Bianca glided around the room, adjusting napkins, perfecting centerpieces, checking angles. It was her world, immaculate, curated, camera-ready. And I was simply furniture. Guests began to arrive in clusters, each group dressed like they were attending a fashion event instead of a baby shower. High heels, designer purses, baby blue velvet suits on men who barely looked old enough to rent a car. Bianca greeted each person with the kind of practiced affection that made her look warm but distant all at once. "Oh my gosh, you made it. You look incredible. Come in, the photographer is right over there." As more people flooded the hall, conversations rose around me like a tide made of gossip. Ines talk and bragging rights. "Did you see her new car? Babe, that purse is limited edition. My husband closed the deal yesterday. We celebrated with dinner in Dubai." It was a world that only looked expensive because the people inside it were terrified of looking ordinary. I sat quietly at a small table near the corner, the table Bianca had subtly guided me toward earlier. Behind a pillar. Not in the official photos. Not noticeable unless someone was actively looking. I placed my gift bag gently on the table and folded my hands in my lap. A pair of Bianca's friends walked by, in low but not low enough voices. "Is that her? The mother-in-law?" "Yeah. She looks simple." "Well, Bianca said she's sweet. Just, not used to these kinds of events." Their eyes flicked toward me with polite curiosity, then quickly away, the way people look at items in antique shops they have no intention of buying. I pretended not to hear. I'd lived too long to let whispers get under my skin. But a piece of me wished they knew more. Not for glory. Not for attention. Just for dignity. I reached into the gift bag, touching the edge of the knitted blanket. Each loop, each row held stories. Memories. Hard-won wisdom. Late nights. Quiet mornings. Seasons of my life woven together. It was the kind of thing that holds meaning even when no one else sees it. A soft voice interrupted my thoughts. "Hi. You must be Michael's mom." A young woman with gentle eyes and a very pregnant belly smiled shyly at me. She wasn't wearing designer clothes, just a simple floral dress and flat shoes. Her hair was in a neat ponytail. I returned her smile. "Yes, I am. I'm Lydia," she said. "I work with Bianca. I just wanted to say, I love your dress. Lavender is such a pretty color." Compliments had been in short supply that morning. Her kindness landed softly like a touch on the shoulder. "Thank you," I said warmly. "Why? And congratulations to you too." She blushed and rubbed her belly. "I'm due soon. Bianca and I went to the same maternity classes. She's been, well," she hesitated then laughed awkwardly. "She likes things perfect." "That she does," I said gently. Lydia opened her mouth to say more, but suddenly Bianca swooped in like a gust of wind. "Oh, Lydia. You're here," Bianca exclaimed, looping an arm around her shoulders. Come, we need you in the group photo." Lydia waved at me before being whisked away. I watched them go, a soft ache forming in my chest. Not jealousy, not resentment, just a sense of distance. I wanted to be closer to my son, closer to this new chapter of our lives, closer to the grandchild who would soon arrive. But Bianca's world had walls, shiny, decorative walls, and I was not permitted inside them. A loud laugh snapped my attention back to the table. 2 more women had sat down near me, adjusting their bracelets and smoothing their dresses. They didn't notice me at first. One of them whispered, "Bianca must be stressed. Did you see how she looked at the dessert table? I think one cupcake was slightly tilted." The other snorted. "Classic. She's a perfectionist to the bone. Honestly, I'm shocked she invited her mother-in-law. I thought she said something about wanting a certain aesthetic." The first woman shrugged. Maybe she couldn't avoid it. Their laughter was quick, quiet, and cutting. I stared down at my hands. A grandmother to be. A mother who raised a son to be kind. A woman who spent her life helping others. Often quietly, always honestly. But here I was just a mismatch. A piece that didn't fit the puzzle Bianca wanted to assemble. I tried to steady my breathing. I reminded myself that humility wasn't weakness. And invisibility wasn't failure. And words meant to belittle say nothing about the person receiving them. The lights dimmed slightly, signaling the start of the official program. Guests shifted toward their seats. Bianca's mother stepped up to the microphone to welcome everyone. But just before she spoke, the hall doors opened behind us. Someone walked in. Not someone expected. Not someone invited by Bianca. And the atmosphere of the room shifted. Subtly at first, then unmistakably, as heads turned, whispers began and a hush fell over the tables. The first powerful guest had arrived. And they were looking for me. The doors at the far end of the hall opened with a soft but commanding sound. The kind of opening that instantly draws attention even without intention. Conversations quieted, heads slowly turned, and a ripple of curiosity moved through the crowd. A tall woman stepped inside. Not flashy. Not overdressed. Not seeking attention. But she carried attention. The way certain people do when their presence has been earned, not constructed. Judge Helena Cruz. Her name alone could silence a courtroom, but her reputation stretched far beyond it. She was known for her integrity, her sharp mind, and her refusal to bend to pressure, political or otherwise. Newspapers had profiled her. Universities requested her as a speaker months in advance. Even those who didn't follow politics knew her face. And she was here. At Bianca's baby shower. Wearing a navy-tailored suit and modest black heels, she scanned the room with the calm authority of someone who had spent her life making decisions that changed lives. Bianca's friends stiffened. Bianca herself froze mid-step, eyes wide, plastered smile wobbling. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "That's her. What is she doing here?" Bianca didn't say a judge was coming. I sat still, my heart suddenly heavy and warm at the same time. Helena hadn't RSVP'd. Helena didn't need to. She knew where to find me when it mattered. For a brief second, Bianca's face lit up with excitement. The kind of excitement that sparked when social currency walked into the room. She hurried toward Helena, almost tripping over the hem of her dress in her eagerness. "Judge Cruz. It is such an honor to have you here," Bianca exclaimed, extending her hand. "Welcome to the baby shower." "I'm the..." But Helena didn't take her hand. She walked right past her. Not rudely. Not dismissively. Simply, purposefully. Her eyes were searching. And then she saw me. Her entire expression softened. "Mary Ann." My name left her lips with warmth, familiarity, and history. Real history, not the performative kind that populated the room around us. She approached me with a smile that reached her eyes. The smile of someone genuinely happy to see an old friend. Not a social obligation. Not a courtesy. Something real. I slowly stood up, my hands trembling slightly as I smoothed my lavender dress. She reached out and took my hands in hers. "My dear," she said softly, "you didn't tell me you were coming to this today." I opened my mouth, unsure whether to laugh or cry. I didn't think it would matter to anyone. She shook her head gently. "You matter to me. You always have." Gasps echoed through the tables nearest us. Bianca's jaw unhinged slightly. Helena squeezed my hands warmly and continued, "I couldn't let such a special day pass without seeing you. You're the reason I became who I am. You guided me when no one else cared to." Her words were not dramatic. Not exaggerated. Just true. She lowered her voice so only I could hear. "I still remember the night you stayed with me after my scholarship interview. You told me I wasn't defined by where I came from, but by where I was willing to go." She paused, emotion tightening her throat. "You gave me the courage that built my whole life." Even after all these years, I hadn't known she held our memories so tightly. I blinked back tears. "You did the work, Helena. You were always going to rise." She smiled. "I rose because you lit the path." Behind her, Bianca remained frozen in place, hands hanging awkwardly in midair, still waiting for the handshake she never received. Then Helena leaned back, speaking loud enough for the room to hear, not boastful but proud of me. "This woman is one of the most influential mentors I've ever had. If she asks me to come anywhere, I will always come." A stunned silence filled the hall. One of Bianca's friends whispered, shocked, She knows the judge?" Another murmured, "Not knows. The judge respects her." Bianca's carefully curated illusion cracked right in front of her eyes. Helena turned back to me. "Where would you like to sit?" "I want to be beside you." I exhaled, steadying my voice. I was asked to stay near the back. A shadow of disapproval flickered across her face. Then she glanced around, evaluating the room like a courtroom. He pulled out the chair next to mine. Not the front, not the spotlight. right where I already was. If you sit here, she said gently, then this is the most important table in the room as far as I'm concerned. The message was subtle but strong. Respect follows character, not positioning. Guests shifted. People whispered louder now, not out of mockery but curiosity and something new. Reverence. Bianca finally forced her legs to move and approached with a fragile smile. Judge Cruz, she stammered. I didn't know you, knew Michael's mom. Helena turned her head with slow, pointed grace. Oh Bianca, I don't just know her. I owe much of my success to her. Bianca's lips parted in shock. A small tremor ran through her hand as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Oh. I see. That's wonderful. But she didn't see. Not yet. Not fully. And she wasn't the only one who was about to learn. Because Helena wasn't the only guest on her way. There were more. Many more. Each one carrying stories Bianca never imagined. Each one connected to a part of me she never cared to ask about. And the next one would break the room open even further. The door opened again, and this time it wasn't a single figure. It was a procession. First, a man in his late 40s, impeccably dressed in a tailored gray suit. He carried himself with the subtle confidence of someone who had built an empire from scratch and never had to shout to be heard. His presence alone caused a ripple of recognition across the hall. Marianne, he said warmly, walking straight toward me. I wouldn't miss this for the world. I blinked in recognition. This was Thomas, the tech entrepreneur whose first startup I had mentored decades ago. He had no obligation to show up, yet here he was, smiling, genuine, grounded. Thomas, I said softly, touched by his presence. He leaned in, speaking quietly so only I could hear. You believed in me when no one else would. I am here because of you. The whisper of his gratitude made the room grow heavier, as though the air itself was charged. Bianca's friends began to notice now. Whispers rippled across the room. Who is that? He looks familiar. Wait, is he? Bianca's face froze, a mixture of panic and disbelief. Her perfect world, crafted, curated, controlled, was unraveling one powerful guest at a time. Next came a woman in a crisp white blouse and pencil skirt, sharp, commanding yet graceful. She approached me with a warm smile. Marianne, she said, I can never thank you enough for what you did for my shelter. You changed lives, you changed everything for us. I had to come today. Another ripple ran through the hall. She wasn't just anyone. She was the philanthropist who had built 3 women's shelters in our city, yet her respect and loyalty were completely genuine. Bianca's smile faltered. She hadn't expected this. Her carefully curated image of simple mother-in-law was crumbling in real time. One after another, people I had quietly helped over the years began entering. A professor whose groundbreaking research in education policy I had advised. 2 young entrepreneurs whose first business loans I had personally co-signed. An activist whose nonprofit I had funded during its earliest struggling days. Each guest approached me with warmth, gratitude, and familiarity. Each one made the room take notice. Oh my God, whispered one of Bianca's friends. She knows them all? Another leaned in, eyes wide. This is unbelievable. How does she even know them? And still more arrived. A city councilwoman. A former student who had become a judge. A CEO who had been struggling until my advice saved her business. By now the room had transformed. The air felt heavier, electric, charged with a tension Bianca couldn't control. Conversations ceased. Guests who had been laughing at tiny inconsequential jokes now stood still, staring. The clinking of champagne glasses and silverware had quieted, replaced by murmurs of awe and curiosity. Bianca's attempts to regain control grew frantic. Everyone please, let's settle in for the program, she called out. Her voice faltered. The room didn't move. She tried again, louder, but the attention wasn't on her. It was on me. I stayed seated, my hands folded calmly in my lap, the small gift bag still by my side. I didn't speak, didn't demand attention. I simply allowed my past to enter the room with me. One woman, a powerful entrepreneur whose career I had saved in the early days, approached the microphone and spoke clearly enough for the room to hear. I want everyone here to know, Marianne has shaped more lives than any of us could ever count. If it weren't for her guidance, many of us would not be standing here today. Gasps echoed. Heads turned. Bianca's carefully constructed world of appearances shattered. A group of her closest friends whispered to one another, their tones shifting from curiosity to fear. Who is she? She's powerful. Why did Bianca ever dismiss her? And then it happened. The mayor of the city, a man whose political career had spanned decades, walked in, casually nodding to familiar faces before approaching me. Marianne, he said warmly, shaking my hand with respect, I've been meaning to thank you for your mentorship years ago. You shaped my path when I was just starting. I couldn't miss this. Bianca froze completely. Her smile disappeared. The room's attention now fully revolved around me, not her. Finally, someone whispered loud enough for Bianca to hear, "This isn't a baby shower. This is a celebration of her life." I exhaled slowly, letting the words settle around me like a cloak. This was never about revenge. This was about truth. The room, full of high-profile guests, wealthy socialites, and influential people, had shifted its focus naturally, inevitably, onto the woman Bianca had dismissed as simple. And in that moment I realized, the true power wasn't in appearances. It wasn't in curated smiles, stage decorations, or gold-plated tables. The power was in the lives I had touched quietly, patiently, and with love. Bianca's carefully built illusion lay in ruins, and all that remained was reality. The reality that would not be ignored. The room had reached a strange kind of silence, the kind that isn't empty but full. Full of tension. Full of realization. Full of the undeniable truth that the woman Bianca dismissed was someone far greater than she ever imagined. My son, Daniel, finally stepped away from the dessert table and approached me. He looked stunned, not angry, not proud, just overwhelmed. "Mom, why didn't you ever tell us?" he asked softly. His voice trembled the way it had when he was a little boy asking if monsters were real. I gave him a calm, small smile. "Because I didn't do those things to be known," I whispered. "I did them because people needed help." Before he could respond, Bianca swooped in, panic radiating off her like heat from a fire. "Daniel, can I speak to you? Privately. Now." Her voice was sharp, brittle, cracking around the edges. But Daniel didn't follow her. He didn't move at all. That only made her angrier. She turned toward me, her tone shifting into something cold. A tone she probably thought only I ever heard. "This isn't fair," she hissed under her breath. "You're hijacking my event." I blinked at her slowly. "I haven't said a single word." "Exactly," she snapped. "You just sit there and people flock to you like you're, she couldn't even finish the sentence. "Like she's someone who actually matters?" The voice came from behind her. Everyone turned. It was Thomas, the tech entrepreneur whose presence alone commanded attention. He had stepped closer, his expression cool but composed. Bianca stiffened. "I wasn't talking to you," she said sharply. "This is a family matter." He raised an eyebrow. "With all due respect, you made it everyone's matter when you tried to belittle Marianne in front of an entire room." The philanthropist stepped forward next. "And when you warned her not to ruin your shower," she added, her tone firm. "That was cruel." Gasps rippled across the hall. Bianca's eyes widened, genuinely shocked that anyone dared to challenge her. I didn't. That's not what she stuttered, flailing for a story that would save her dignity. But the room wasn't on her side anymore. A councilwoman chimed in gently, "My dear, respect is free. You should try it." A few guests murmured, some nodding sharply. Bianca's cheeks flushed crimson. She turned to Daniel, desperation creeping into her voice. "Daniel, say something. You're just going to let them talk to me like this? Your mother she's..." "What, Bianca?" Daniel finally replied, steadying himself. "She's what?" The room froze. Bianca realized she had spoken herself into a corner. Her lip trembled. Her eyes darted around, searching for someone, anyone, who would defend her. But no one stepped forward. For the first time since I had known her, she looked small. "Why are you all attacking me?" she choked out. "I just wanted a perfect shower. I just wanted everything to look good. I just wanted..." "A show?" the mayor asked gently. "That's all this is to you?" Bianca swallowed hard. One of her own friends whispered, loud enough for the room to hear, "I think she's more embarrassed her little warning didn't work." That was it. The final crack. Bianca burst into tears. But they weren't the tears of someone wounded. They were the tears of someone exposed. She turned back to me, the woman she once dismissed as a nobody. "Why didn't you tell me who you were?" she cried. "Why did you let me talk to you like that? Why did you let me think you were just a grandmother?" I said quietly. "Because that's who I am. Titles don't matter. I didn't need you to respect me for what I've done. I needed you to respect me because I'm family." Her sobs grew softer. Not quieter, softer. More real. Daniel finally stepped forward and put a hand on her shoulder. "Mom never wanted this. You brought this on yourself." Bianca looked at him. Really looked, and for the first time I saw fear behind her anger. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing respect. Fear of being seen exactly as she was. And then she whispered something that nearly broke her. "I didn't know how to handle someone like her." Her voice cracked. She wasn't talking about power. She was talking about kindness she couldn't control, humility she couldn't belittle, grace she couldn't manipulate. I thought, if I kept everything perfect she wouldn't judge me, she confessed, tears smudging her mascara. I thought she'd think I wasn't good enough. Silence. The kind that's too heavy to cut through. I reached out and gently touched her hand. I never judged you. I only ever wanted to be welcomed. That's all. Her breathing hitched. And for a moment, a brief, fragile moment, she looked like someone finally seeing the truth after years of blinding herself. The room softened. People shifted, giving us space. The storm inside the hall settled, not gone but calming. Bianca wiped her cheeks slowly. But she couldn't finish the apology yet. Not here. Not now. And that was okay. Because the real transformation wasn't in her words. It was in her realization. Today she didn't just learn who I truly was. She learned who she truly was. The baby shower slowly resumed, not with the same glossy artificial perfection Bianca had tried to maintain, but with something far more real. Warmth. People gathered in small groups again, but instead of the earlier stiff small talk about centerpieces and gift registries, there were deeper conversations happening. About mentorship. About second chances. About gratitude. About humility. My guests blended naturally with Bianca's crowd. The powerful with the ordinary, the influential with the everyday. The room was different now. Balanced. Human. Bianca stood beside Daniel, still shaken but quieter, humbled in a way I had never seen. Her eyes were puffy. Her mascara was smudged. But for the first time ever she wasn't trying to hide it. She approached me slowly, like someone walking toward the truth they had spent years running from. "Mary Ann," she said softly. I turned to her, waiting. She took a deep breath. "I'm sorry." 2 simple words. But they weighed more than everything she'd said to me in the past 3 years. "I treated you like you weren't enough," she continued, her voice trembling. "I was intimidated by the way Daniel talked about you. By how wise you were. I thought if I controlled everything, if I made everything perfect, maybe I'd measure up." She sniffed, wiping her face clumsily. "I didn't realize I was pushing you away." I placed a gentle hand on her arm. "Bianca, being perfect never made a good family," I said. "Being honest does. Being willing to grow does." Her shoulders loosened, relief pouring out in a long, shaky breath. Daniel moved closer, placing his arm around her, not protectively but supportively. "And for what it's worth," I added, "today wasn't about showing you up. It was about showing you that kindness doesn't make someone weak. And humility doesn't make someone small." Bianca nodded slowly. "I understand that now," she whispered. "I really do." We stood there, the 3 of us. No flashy decorations, no curated photo moments, no performance. Just a family finally beginning to understand itself. Later, as the shower came to an end, something unexpected happened. The mayor approached Bianca, not with criticism but with a warm smile. "You're fortunate," he told her gently. "Not many people have someone like Mary Ann in their corner. Treat her well and she'll change your life too." Bianca looked at me, eyes filling again, but this time with something softer. Hope. Before leaving, my guests embraced me, thanked me, promised to visit soon. They didn't crowd Bianca, didn't overwhelm her, but each one nodded respectfully, acknowledging her role, her effort, her growth. And for the first time, Bianca returned the nods genuinely. As we walked out of the venue, Bianca held the door open for me, a small gesture but meaningful. "Will you?" she began hesitantly. "Will you help me with motherhood? I don't know much. I pretend I do, but I'm scared." I smiled warmly. "Of course," I said. "That's what family is for." Her shoulders sagged with relief and she hugged me. A real hug. Warm, grateful, unscripted. In that moment, the transformation was complete. Not because she bowed to status. Not because she saw my influence. But because she finally saw my heart. And for the first time, she let me into hers. If this story made you feel anything, if it made you smile, if it made you think, if it made you believe in second chances and the quiet power of kindness, hit the like button. It helps more people find this story. Subscribe for more emotional, dramatic real-life stories told just like this. And drop a comment about where you are watching from. Let's see how far this video is reaching.